So I'm gonna get started because I know it's nice out. So even though we're inside, but happy that you guys are joining us. So welcome to our second coach call. My name is Vicki Cody. I have Cheryl Moeller here, and she's going to be watching the Q&A. And Jeannie Badger is here, and so between Jeannie and I, we're going to try to answer some of the live questions. In a little bit, I'm going to join the call from my phone so you guys can see how that looks if you only have phones to show referees, like how your robot's moving. We tested it today, and it's not bad. It's almost as good as our regular camera. So we'll show you guys that. So I wanted to start with, we are going to be recording this call. So just so you guys know, and for anyone who was not on our first call about 2 weeks ago, we did record that, and it's posted on our page, probably where you found this link. It's under training and workshop, and under coach calls, obviously. And that's where we're going to put this one, probably tomorrow or maybe Monday. So just like last time, obviously we set this up in like a meeting instead of a webinar so that we can be more conversational. And so you can either, unmute yourself and ask your question, or you can put your question into the chat, and Cheryl's going to watch that chat and make sure that we get all of the questions answered. So either way you're comfortable, that works for us. And because this is just going to be an open forum, if you are struggling with something, maybe there's another coach that's struggling with the same thing and maybe they figured out how to overcome it. So happy to have you guys share your knowledge and ways that you've figured out how to do this cool program in this very weird time. So hopefully the community here can help tonight. My last little announcement, it's a reminder, if you have not registered for your practice rounds, especially if you're playing in December, please, please, please do that really, really soon. So part of the reason we also want our January teams to register for their practice round early is so we know how to schedule our referees, since we're doing stuff during the week, and most of them work. So we're just trying to make sure that we have enough referees in the afternoons when we need them, in the evenings. And so the sooner you guys can register for those practice rounds, the better. If you play in December, I really need you registered by Monday, the 9th. And if you play in January, we just set a date of November 23rd, and I'll be pushing all that information out. So tonight, it's all about the robot game. Now, if you have a question about the project or some other question, please let us know, but we're going to start with the robot game. And so what I want to start with is we had a Google Sheet up there that you could ask questions to early. So I'm going to start with those questions, and maybe it'll spur something.
Do you want to answer the 2 questions in chat while you're there?
Oh, I just answered one of them, but.
Okay, hold on. I didn't see the chat.
So I just answered the one about the consent and release form. So if you did them on the first website, you don't need to do them on our website. However, everybody needs to upload their demographics on our website, because that's how we're going to send out pins and the medals and your rubrics and everything. So.
And if you turn your demographics in by the 15th of November, we will send you and all your team members free pins. And we're going to get those sent out before. We're hoping to get that done like the week of Thanksgiving. So hopefully those first teams in December, they'll have their pins when they compete. So hopefully that'll be fun.
And then Vicki, I'll let you or Jeannie answer about the practice rounds questions.
Okay, so
I just have one thing. Our shipping department is on this call. We can ask him when he thinks those pins will start shipping.
He's muted.
He's muted. Okay. So the practice rounds. So how the practice rounds will work is you're going to get a link. So I'm going to be super honest with you. We're supposed to be putting these links on this remote event hub that FIRST is developing, but FIRST doesn't think that they're going to have the remote hub ready until the 1st of December. And that's going to be their beta, well, like a beta plus version. We've seen a beta version, but it's still being developed. And any of you who are developers know this kind of thing takes a really long time. So if they don't get it done, I sent an email today. If they don't get it done early enough, then you guys are going to be getting all your links probably from me or Jeannie. But for the practice rounds, for sure, the first ones in November, I'm going to be sending you guys a link, and that will be the link for your team to join. Now, if your team, like we are tonight, some of you are at home and some of you guys are at school, or if you guys are all at home, you'll need to share that link with your team members, because even for the practice rounds, I know you're running the robot, but if you've got, say for whatever reason, you can only have 2 kids together and they're running the robot, the other team members can join that practice round so they can cheer on their teammates, or if they want to do a commentary, bring out their inner MC and do a commentary for their team, or if they just want to be there to listen to the referee, to hear what the referee has to say. I encourage all of your team members, even if they can't be with you physically, to join that session. So you'll come into the meeting and the referee will be there. We will also have a head referee kind of bopping in between Discord rooms. High-tech kids will be there bopping between Discord rooms, trying to make sure everything is working. So the referee will ask you if you have any questions. They're going to want to look at your mat to make sure. They'll probably ask you to maybe actuate some of the models to make sure they're working correctly, like the step counter thing, and make sure your basketball hoop goes up and down, whatever it is, especially stuff you're going to use, just to make sure your models are working correctly, and to make sure they're stuck down. And they're also going to ask you if you got your new dual lock. So most of you know that initially really defective and horrible dual lock was sent out. And I'm hoping all of you have gotten your new dual lock. We haven't even gotten ours here in the office, but we had old dual locks. So if you didn't get dual lock, you need to call first and tell them that they need to send you a dual lock. So, someone got it and okay, great. And you will know if you had bad dual lock because you barely touched that mission model and it was horrible. Anyway, so they will talk to you about the game. And if you or your kids have any questions about, the rules, if you don't understand, if you're not sure about something, or if you're not sure about a strategy your kids have, this is the time to talk to the refs about it. And then you're going to do your 3, 2, 1 Lego. You're going to run your robot for 2.5 minutes. And then you're going to score it. Or not you, sorry. The referee will score it. And the score doesn't count. But just to show you what that process is going to be like. And he'll tell you will tell you what your score is. And that's pretty much the session. And it's really also, they're going to make sure that your camera angles are good. And maybe they might say, oh, you know what, the back half of your table is really dark. So during the real runs, if you could somehow bring in another light, or give you some ideas about camera angles. And we're going to give you ideas tonight as we get through the night tonight. So I'm hoping, Lori, that answered your question. So here's some submitted questions. I'm just going to start at the top of the list. Okay, Jeannie? So Sarah had asked and said, we are hoping to use a DSLR camera mounted on a tripod, but all the images and video are then a mirror image. Would this setup work for robot runs or not?
Okay, so if you want to mute yourself. So. Yeah. We're not playing that. Actually, if you are in Discord and you are looking at the screen, you will always see a mirror image of yourself. But if generally what's happening is our refs, when they're looking, they're going to see it correctly. So the suggestion I would give you is have someone else on your team log into the Discord as well and make sure that they are seeing the the video that you're showing correctly. If that's not working, contact me directly, Jeannie at High Tech Kids, and I can help you get through. We have found that most of the ways that we've done it with a webcam, we've done it with just a camera, the web camera. And again, Vicky's actually going to show you how she did it on her phone today. We were pretty excited when we got that figured out. And the images are not reversed when they're posted, but if you're kind of sharing through your Discord, when you look at it, the image you see is reversed. So I will check on that, have someone else on your team look at it and see if what they are seeing is correct. If it's not, contact me directly about the DSLR, because we are finding that we know that you are seeing it backwards, but everyone else is seeing it correct, if that makes sense.
All right, and then someone asked, is it okay to use two-sided tape to hold the mat down to keep it from sliding during square ups? And so I'm assuming they're talking about on the far side as they're squaring up against the wall.
Okay, and the answer is no. You are not allowed to use any other tape underneath your mat. What you can use, if you look at the robot game rule book under field setup, which is actually on page 1, there's field mat placement, and under step 4 it says that you can put tape on both the no, one of my sides here. I can't remember which way is up. You can put it on the east and west black borders, so you can only cover up that little bit of black border. You don't want to go further onto your mat, because that will actually give you a larger home area. So you can run a strip of tape on the east and the west borders, and that is actually on page 4 of the robot game rule book under field setup, under field mat placement.
All right, and then Sarah asked another question, and so now we're on to, we have some game questions. So she asked for hopscotch. So you know the bench, it goes down and it makes those little squares. And for hopscotch, she asked, what would 2 cubes within one square score?
All right, Sarah. So for that one, the hopscotch, they actually issued an update. So our updates are under the High Tech Kids website, under resources. It's actually under the replay game over on the right-hand side on the tabs. So we've got the updates. First has issued about, I think it's 8 updates, and the last one was probably 2 weeks ago. And what it says is that there are a total of 4 spaces, and the most you can get, the points are actually points per space, not points per cube. So if you have a cube in 1 space, that's 10 points. If you have a cube in 2 spaces, that's 10 points each. If you have 3 cubes in 1 space, that's only 1 space. So you only get the 10 points. And then keeping in mind that those cubes, it says specifically, they have to be touching the mat. So if you look at the pictures that they have, and that is on page 11 of the rule game book, the most that they can get for the hopscotch is 40 points. So 4 points per space, not per cube.
All right, and then someone asked, so we had a couple of health unit questions, and I'm gonna do one from Bix. First was, why are there so many health units? There are some on the field and 3 in the beginning, but many more available. And he said, did I miss something? You did not miss anything.
So the official health units are the green ones. The green ones, there are 8 of them. 4 of them start in home, and 4 are scattered about on the field. And then you got bag 9. Bag 9 is the bag that confused everybody, because they gave you a bag. They told you how to build them, but they didn't tell you what to do with them. Basically, bag 9 is a freebie. Woohoo! So bag 9 has the blue, red, yellow, and light blue health units, but they're not really health units. They're just something that they put together in a bag and sent to you. Our thought is that at one point maybe they were going to be a different mission, and then somewhere along the way they changed their mind. But go ahead, give them to their kids, have fun with them, but they don't count for anything. So only the green health units, there are 8 of them, 4 starting home, and then 4 are placed across the mat.
And someone asked, do the health units need to be touching the mat, or can they be stacked on top of each other?
So the health units, it's pretty specific. It says health units are mission number 14. The health units have to be touching either the replay logo or the gray area around the bench. So it says specifically touching. So they have to be touching the mat. So if they're all stacked up on each other, only the one that's touching the mat will count. So you want to make sure they are touching. Another important part of that is under rule number 4. I sound so official and fancy. Under rule, I believe it's rule number 4, they say specifically that a mission model includes all parts of the model, frames, bases, and loops. So if the loop is touching the mat on the replay logo or the gray around the bench, that would count. So you can put things on there strategically, but make sure at least all part of that health unit is touching the mat. So do not stack them up unless you can figure out a way that all part of all of them is touching. But keep in mind that the loop is part of the mission model.
Jeannie, Jennifer said that you said that there were 4 health units on the field and 4 at home, but she thought it was 5 in the field and 3 at home. Could you clarify? And then we have another question about bocce balls too.
And we have another bocce question coming up.
Okay.
You're right, I'm wrong. It's 5 out on the mat. We've been messing with these things going back and forth for the last 3 days. So it's 3 at home, 5 out on the mat. You're correct.
Yay.
Yay, yay for catching me.
You want to look at that bocce question?
Bocce with the red and blue box. Is it permissible to attach a catch or a wall to the bottom? You could catch the piece before it goes over the edge, but do not let the kids put it back onto the field. If it's gone over, if you have sent the red or the blue block over, it cannot come back into play. So you want to make sure that the kids know that that has gone over the table. They're allowed to catch it, but don't put it back into play, because that would give them extra points and that would not be fair. So if it goes over, that's good. You can catch it, but don't.
And we've got another question. If the cube is sitting on the gray piece that's adjacent to the edge of the board, but is technically still in the frame, do you still score 5 points per cube? Good question.
Yeah, I guess so that's Kendra. So can you explain what you mean by the gray piece that's adjacent to the edge of the board? I'm going to look at the board really quick.
Sure. So on the, this is Kendra.
Yep.
Our team has been dumping some blocks into the frame, and there was one time this week where one of the blocks bounced up and landed on one of those gray pieces. So if you look at the page 13 of the robot game rule book.
Yep.
And you look at or if you have your board in front of you, and there's that gray piece that's adjacent to the side of the board on each side of the frame, but it's inside the frame.
Yep.
And my girls were wondering, the block kind of hopped up and was sitting there, and they were wondering, oh, would that still score points? Because technically it's still in the frame, the black frame, if that's how we're defining the frame. So they were just curious about that.
Yes, I would agree with that. You know, to me, the frame is that black and green and gray. That's all part of the frame. And it does not say that the cube has to be on the mat. It does say it has to be completely in the frame.
Right.
So if it's like hanging over the other side, then it wouldn't be. But if it's on the inside of the frame, I would say yes, it would be good.
Great, thank you.
All right.
And another question about that, in Boccia, it seems like they can send either the red or the blue, but not both for points, and that the cooperation part is implied once you send the part over. Is that correct?
That is correct, and that was in one of the updates. It was actually one of the first ones. So if exactly one cube is sent north over the wall from your share model, but you're the only team, you automatically get the 25 shared points credit. But if you send both over, you are not going to get that. It says specifically exactly one cube is sent north over the wall from the share model. And that may be something that is actually going to be challenging, I think, for the referees to see. So at the end of the match, you're going to want to make sure that you zoom in with your camera. And again, Vicky's going to show that kind of at the end of the evening here, how she used her cell phone just to go around and share those mission models. But that's one that you're going to make sure the referee sees. And that'll be a little bit tricky to see from further out. So you want to make sure you show that.
So for our game questions, because that same question was actually submitted, the question was, will we always be, for Boccia, will we always be the only team in the match and therefore should concentrate on sending only one cube regardless of color? So the answer to that question is yes, you will always be, sadly, the only team in the match. So that was a question that we got. So another question that we got in our pre-questions was about Discord. And someone asked, could you, oh wait, there was one about inspection? I missed the inspection question.
Oh, it's on the list. So it says, will we have to stack our robot and attachments in the inspection zone just once at the beginning of the match? If you have ginormous pieces and you're kind of testing the system, then that referee is going to say, let's do that inspection again. And that referee will probably do the inspection all 3 rounds. If it's very clear that you are not breaking that 12-inch ceiling and that your things are going to fit in the small inspection area again, no, our referees are probably not going to make you do that again, but that is something to clarify with your referees. If you are going to make significant changes between runs, I know that, you know, some teams are building in multiple places and they're going to use kind of these attachments for this run and these attachments for this run and a different set for the 3rd run. Then maybe the referees are going to say, let's check the inspection again if things are really changing. But if it's clear that you fit and you're running the same missions again or mostly the same, then it won't be a big deal. But do remember that everything that's being used for a specific run has to stay in that home area. It can't be put on a table behind you, but it does have to stay. Doesn't have to stay in the small inspection area, but it does have to stay in that small, in the home area.
Oh, I can't hear you. Carol, we can't hear you.
Muted, so you can't hear me. Sorry. How will the practice round work? Do we need to be present for the whole 2 hours, or is there a dedicated slot given to each of the teams? So right now, when you guys signed up, those are slots that we have referees available. And once we know how many people are in each slot, you will be getting a confirmed time. So you won't be there the whole 2 hours. I believe everybody gets a half-an-hour slot. Is that correct?
That is correct. So you guys signed up for a bank of time, just like if you would have signed up for an event, you know, you don't know exactly your schedule. So we did those 2-hour time slots because we figured you'd have after school and early evening, depending on when you met, or when you meet with your team. So you'll get a 30-minute time slot from us very soon, especially if you're going to be in November. So we are working on that.
So we just didn't want to have the refs be there at 6 and then not have another team until 8 o'clock because then they're just sitting there waiting. So we're going to combine them so we're using the volunteers efficiently.
Correct. So Lori asks, we have one team split into 2 sub-teams. Do they have to compete with the same robot, or can they each use a robot person? Oh, I see what you're saying, Lori. You built 2 robots. So for each official robot run, you can only use 1 robot. If you want to use a different robot for each one of your runs, you can do that. But you just can't use robot A for your mission, your first 2 missions, and then robot B for your next 2 missions within that same 2.5 minutes. So for any given 2.5 minutes, you can only use 1 robot, if that makes sense. So.
And Lori, I'll just say, in that situation, normally what would happen is you would leave that second robot in your pit area, and there's not a pit area. So you just want to point out to your referee, hey, we're using a different robot, but we're going to put this robot way over here so that they understand that you're not trying to switch robots around. And then just say, hey, we're going to bring that robot back and take this robot and use it for the 3rd round. So you kind of say, we're moving it way over here, pretending your pit area is over there, and just having it out of the way, just making it easy for the referees to help the kids out.
So Jeannie, here's one on the robot dance, mission 7. Does it need to be dancing at the end of the time limit, or can it just be the last thing they do if it does not run the full time?
The robot has to be dancing at the end of the match. So it's very clear. The rule says your robot is dancing at the end of the match. So if it's 1.5 minutes of robot dancing, it's 1.5 minutes of robot dancing. They can tell the ref that's the last thing we do, and the referee may start scoring, but they're going to keep let that robot keep dancing, because it's very specific that it has to be in a dancing motion at the end of the match.
And the other part of the question was, once the time runs out, are the kids able to pick up the robot even if it is still moving or not?
Yeah, so at the end of the match, they want to wait for the referee to say, the referee may say, okay, I see your robot was dancing at the end. Now you can turn it off. They want to make sure they're communicating with the referee. If their robot is still dancing, say, okay, our time is up. And then you can ask the referee, can we turn it off now? Then they'll reach over, turn it off, leave that robot where it is, because we want to make sure the scoring can be done very carefully with the camera. So when the time is up, they don't want to change anything. They want to show the referee the ending and go through the score sheet, get an agreement from the referee as to the score, and then the referee will say, okay, now you can reset your field. So they don't want to do anything until they've kind of communicated with that referee. And that's a good opportunity for the kids to learn to communicate with the referees.
And then we have another question about how much time should we plan to practice our resets between the runs?
So Jennifer, I'm assuming you mean when you do your regular rounds, because you knew all rounds in a half an hour. So I don't know if you need to practice resets so much, because really, so what's going to happen is you're in a regular performance round, not the practice rounds. You're going to, your referee will want to inspect the field before we start. They'll probably even ask you, they're going to probably ask you, do you guys go under the pull-up bar? Because they're going to want to watch for that. What are some of the other missions you do so that they know to actually be looking for them? Especially for the one, what's the one that you pull out? Is that a rowing machine? Is that the rowing machine, Jeannie? Yeah. Especially the rowing machine, to make sure your little rowing machine circle thing pulls out and stays, to make sure that that's built correctly. So then you're going to do 3, 2, 1 Lego. You're going to do your 2.5 minutes. Then they're going to score it. And then they're going to say to the kids, yes, no, just like they would at the table. The referee is actually filling out the scorecard. They're going to hit submit, and then they're going to say, oh, you got 562 points or 210 points, however many points you got. And the kids might say 210 points, it should be 610. So this is different than any other year, because we never do this instant replay type of thing. but the ref is going to say, okay, let's go through the scorecard again. If you think you should have had 600 and I'm only coming up with 200, let's see where the disconnect is. They're going to go through it again. And then once it's like, oh, okay, so this is what your score is, the kids say, yep, because the kids know pretty much what their score is. You know, the kids are smart. Then we're going to ask you guys to reset your field. So I am guessing, and then we'll start again. So what we're hoping is these cycles take about like 10-ish minutes, because we figure on the front end there's going to be a hi, how are you, let's see your field. So we're thinking it's going to be about a 10 to 12 minute turnaround, which is quite a bit longer than what we do in a regular event. So as long as the kids know how to reset the field pretty fast, I think you should be good. So Michelle says, would it be okay for the kids to be blasting music like at the tournament or loudly emceeing? Or would it best to be able to hear the head ref? Well, actually, you know what, Michelle? If they want to blast some music and they want to do a dance and have somebody be an MC, I think that's great. You know what might be good, and I just thought of this, is if either like a coach or somebody even has headphones in. So if the ref is trying to talk, you know, if you have headphones in, you should be able to hear the ref. I mean, Jeannie and I are sitting here right next to each other. So we're muting back and forth, but, you know, I think as long as you can hear the ref, you should be good.
Yeah.
Or somebody.
And the other, yeah, so and Natasha, who's one of our head refs, she's on the call, and she says, as long as they can hear the ref, smiley face. We did agree that because this is such bizarre situations, that it may actually be the coach listening for the referee's instructions, or if there's a touch penalty, loss of precision token, we aren't going to expect the kids necessarily, because they're going to kind of be focused on what's going on, and normally the kids wouldn't be worried about, you know, moving that token. So the referees will talk with the kids about what to do if they lose a precision token, but that may fall on the coach, which is odd, but we kind of all agree that it may be the coach listening in for those instructions from the ref. Mm-hmm. And your referee will tell you kind of what they think is going to work best.
So while we're waiting for people to put more questions in, so there was a question about Discord. So many of you know we did after the last coach call, I did send out a survey about Discord and other streaming platforms. And except for maybe 2 people that we'll probably contact directly, everyone's willing to try to give Discord a whirl. I think it's going to be new just like anything else. So we're going to continue going forward with it, because one thing we did notice through our training, and I see we have some referees on the call, that was on our ref training last night, and the video was sort of like stop action, choppy, and through Zoom. And so we think that was a problem through Zoom, because the recording that we made was fine. So we think it was through Zoom. So anyway, we're going to go forward with Discord. And so someone asked, could you please demo the Discord invitation, the waiting room, and how the actual connection and, you know, being with a referee or judge is going to work? This person said they tried Discord, but they're still unclear about the aspects of how it's going to work. And so Jeannie, did you want to do that at the end? So we're going to do that. We are going to demo what we have at the end. And I just wanted to also let you guys know that just today we decided that we are going to host a little Discord training next Thursday night. We're not sure what time, because we're also going to be training our referees on Discord that night. So we haven't worked all the logistics out yet, but we want to get it done before practice rounds. There is a video. Where do we put it? We put it on our website. No. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. We're making a video. Sorry, we made it a different video. That's going to walk you through what we're doing. There is a video out there about how to open up your own server, though.
Yes.
Yes, about how to, Jeannie made a video on how to set up your own server. We're going to do another little video on what's going to happen as you walk into an event. And she's going to show you. You can do it right now, or you're going to do it at the end.
There are any other questions?
All right, well, maybe we'll do that right now. And while we do that, I will boot up Zoom on my phone. So.
Okay. So I'll start with this. So you will receive a link from us. It will not be this exact one, but it'll look like this. And then you will go into your Discord. Hopefully you've already got the app, you've started with it, you've messed around. You'll come to the add a server. And it's going to be, this might be familiar if you already created one, and have an invite. You'll join the server.
Jeannie, are you sharing your screen?
Oh, yes. No.
Okay, good.
Oh.
I thought I was doing something wrong. Okay.
No, anyone else getting tired of this? There we go. I'm going to share. Okay, so you'll get a link from High Tech Kids from Vicki. It'll be somewhere along the way. And then you'll go into your Discord server. You'll go to the plus sign, add a server. If you've already created a server, you're kind of familiar with this. And then down at the bottom, have an invite. And then you'll join the server. Oh, that's what I put that up for there. You'll put your invite link in there. It's not this exact one. It'll be specific for each tournament, and it will be changing. So you can't use an old one. You'll have to use the one that Vicki will be sending you. Join server, and it will actually say, it'll have the replay logo, but it will say Minnesota First Lego League Tournament. We've got kind of a training server set up here. There's a message for you, your name and team number by clicking on the link. Oh, we gotta change that a little bit. So over here, you've got a welcome, and this is where your welcome message will be, okay? And then there's an announcements, and you can click in there. You can look at the announcements. We may have announcements saying good luck to your team or anything like that, or information where to go. But your welcome screen says an admin will change your name to represent your team number and name. Once your name has been changed, you will see it on the right-hand side, and I'm going to close this real quick, of your screen. That's over here. And then you can move yourself into the waiting room. And if you watch here, so I go, he says, go to the name and team number. I'm just going to type in here, team 12528, Jeannie, I am a coach. If it's a child, we'll just have them put their team and only their first name. We don't want any last names, okay? And then my admin, someone from High Tech Kids or our admin, will be hopping in here. They will change that. And when he changes me from just any old person into a coach, you can see that some new things popped open here. And now my name over here is 12528 Jeannie. So it's my team number and Jeannie. And then he will also say, now I want you to go into the waiting room. So I will go into my judging waiting room. I have to put myself there, but to do that, all I do is click, and now I'm in this judging waiting room. And then what will happen is my kids will start showing up in this waiting room, and all of us will be labeled with the same team number. And then when it's time for me to go into judging, well, actually, I'll show you. If you have questions, you can come into the text channel here, and I can send a message. I use that @ sign. I can send it to the admin. I can send it to High Tech Kids staff. I'm going to message him. I am not sure what to do yet. He will reply to me. Oh, look how fast he is. So he's typing. He's probably going to tell me I have to wait until the rest of my team is there and wait for the judges to be ready. But if I have a question, no, don't go ask a bunch of questions, but they'll be ready. You can see down here that someone is replying to me. It says to wait, you have to wait for the rest of your team to show up before we move you. Okay. Now we're going to pretend that the rest of my team has showed up. There's 5 of us here. And then the admin will move you into your correct judging. So it looks like I'm going to be in Lakes Judge. My project is first, and my design is my second judging. And you'll get something from Vicki again with that schedule, so you'll know if you're doing project first or design. And then obviously the rest of my team members will come into this room here. The judges will be in here with me, and this is where the judge will talk to me. We'll have my video turned on, so I can share my video with the judges, and I can share my screen with the judges as well, and the judges will be in here as well. So I know that was quick, but we are going to, like I said, we're going to put together a step-by-step video, and then we will have maybe a judge in that room, so you'll kind of see. So really all you have to do is come into that first welcome area, and then we ask you to go into that one channel that says name, team name and number. You put that in there, and then we will actually move you around. So it's actually going to be easier than a real tournament. You don't have to go find the rooms. We will put you in the rooms. Hopefully that makes sense. And again, we're making a video on that, a step-by-step tutorial, and that will be out for sure before your practice rounds, because we'll be putting you into the performance rooms as well.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So just, I think I understood, but if, let's say we're doing it remotely from our homes, would potentially each child join from a laptop, and then a parent might join from a phone, and that's how we're going to video, and then you can freely choose as you move across those different items for sharing your screen or sharing the camera. And it kind of gives everybody the opportunity to share their current thing, talk about the code or talk about the project without being in the same room.
So they'll actually be in a room similar to this. It's kind of Brady Bunch style. You'll see a bunch of windows that'll be open once you're in the Discord. It's very similar to Zoom. But the parents actually will not be allowed. We want only the kids and the coaches to be in there, so that we're not moving 25 people around. We are hoping that if the kids are remote from each other, that their parent is sitting right next to them at the computer. Sure. That's a youth protection issue.
See, I'm her parent.
Yeah, so she's my parent. So then, then we're ensuring that the kids are in a safe environment if they're all remote. But so they will, and we won't be sharing that link with the kids. The coach will be sharing that Discord link, and the kids will come into that same window, and they will say, I'm Adam with Team 12528. They'll just type that in there, and then we will give them, the kids have a different permission than the coach. So so some of that, when we give you that role, it gives you permissions on where to go. And then we'll ask the kids to move to that waiting room, and then we will move them all once they're in there. And that may be one of the things we will ask that coach, how many kids are we expecting? 4, 5. So we're not waiting for 6, and there's only 3 kids that will be there that day. Let me see.
Okay, and the same person can join twice if, like, I need to, as the coach, need to join from a computer for one thing, and then from a phone to walk around. I just put that in the chat, and no big deal.
Okay.
Just don't join from 12 devices.
Yeah, yep, and that's fine. And then so maybe what I would do is I would just tell that the admin, when you're typing that in, I would say, I'm team 12528, Andy, coach, phone. So then we know, oh, we've got Andy on a phone and on his laptop. And that would be helpful for us to know why Andy is in there twice.
Perfect. That's very clear. Thank you.
Okay. Trying to see what other questions. Coach could share with all the kids if we're in.
You might want to add something to what I put in the chat there.
I'm trying to see what you.
So people have been asking whether they can have their team all together on one screen, and that's perfectly fine. Or you could have, some of your kids together on one screen and another one's calling in from another location. So it doesn't. There is no requirement from us.
There's no requirement, and I think you have to. What we really want to do is whatever is the COVID safe practices. So if they're in one room and they are supposed to be wearing a mask, we're going to ask that they are wearing the masks, that if that's what the school standard is. If they're all separate, then clearly they don't have to wear masks. But we want to make sure that they're following whatever safety procedures are in place in the location that they're in. You guys they've been on these Zoom meetings and these calls. If I would definitely practice, if you can set up your own Discord server, have the kids practice so they figure out what's going on. What we have heard is that if you have 6 kids in one room, all on one meeting, that's a lot of talking. And sometimes it's a little bit easier if they're actually in separate locations. Practice with your kids, whatever is going to work best. We know, our judges know, our referees know that this is a tough situation. So we're not expecting perfection. We're not expecting, we're expecting this to be a kids over Discord. So it's going to be a little bit certainly different.
And someone asked about whether you should have all the screens or only have one screen be unmuted for feedback. And yes, that is a problem. If they're all together on individual screens, the same location, you're going to get some bad feedback. We've seen that on the Discord groups for our FTC teams. So you might have to have, they might have to be muting and unmuting themselves to be able to talk, or moving around to the microphone, or however you're going to do the sound.
Yep, agreed. So, and Vicki and I are actually in the same room, and we're muting and unmuting so that you guys aren't hearing the echo of us on there. So again, practicing. It's the best thing I can suggest. We've got a question for practice sessions. We'll be going over the project or just the robot. The practice session, practice/technology is just, it's a robot run and it's that technology check, making sure that their screen sharing is working. Can we hear you? That may be one of the things where the refs are like, whoa, don't everybody talk at once. So they will not be doing their project during the practice session. They will just be doing the robot run with the referee. Our kids are not ready. Even in normal times, our kids were never ready for the tournament.
So I had a private
Okay, Vicky's.
question about cameras.
Okay.
Camera angles.
So Vicki had, she had a private question. Someone asked her about camera angles. I'm actually going to show you. Here, maybe I'll show you my, can you see her back there? So Vicki's going to show us kind of some camera angles that she's been working on. I'm going to move my camera. I'm hoping not to make you guys sick.
Okay, hold on. I got to figure out. Can you guys see?
Okay, so if you see the Vicki Cody,
I'm not logged in as high tech, so I can't share my screen.
she's logged in as a Vicki Cody. So if you double click, I'm going to do it real quick. If you find the Vicki Cody screen and double click on it, it'll make it big on your computer screen. And then you can see what she is sharing.
Hold on a second. Let me see if I can share my screen.
Her camera's not on right now, though, right?
Hold on a second.
Yeah, actually it's a purple flower right now if you see it. So
Now, can you see it?
I can see your screen. It's a screen broadcast. Right there is what they're seeing. Yours is in the middle. It says Vicki Cody and purple flowers. So like I said, we're not expecting perfection from.
Okay, there.
So if you double click on the Vicki Cody, it'll make it the main focus on your computer, and you can see her screen. So she's actually sharing on a phone through the Zoom app, and she is kind of showing the overview of the table. And then if you cannot get the entire table, you can do a very slow, we're kind of seeing you're zooming in.
Well, I know. I'm showing how awesome the camera is.
Oh, okay. So she's
So
just
you
showing
can
how
see
awesome the
things.
camera is.
So you can see things.
So just using a cell phone, she's even got an older cell phone. She's getting pretty good image now. And the refs are seeing that. And like I said, I've got this double click to make it the full screen, and I could see definitely where the robot is driving. You could see if things are being actuated, things are moving there. So I think a cell phone is going to be okay. And then at the end of the match, we'll pretend Vicky's at the end of the match. She would walk around and the referees would say, "Can you show me the bench?"
Oops.
And they'll kind of walk around. It's almost, the refs will kind of be walking around the mat, and then they'll say, "Can you show me the basketball?" And then you say, "Okay, no cubes are in the basketball. We didn't move that." "Okay, can you show me the slide?" And so they'll actually have the kids go from mission to mission. And then, "Can you show me the walking?"
You can get in pretty.
Yeah, and you can get in there pretty close. We will actually have, we're working on the score sheet right now, and our refs are actually giving us kind of an opinion on what they think will be the easiest way to go around the table and do the scoring. So it will not be going mission 1, mission 2, mission 3. It will kind of be going around the table, sort of clockwise, okay? And you'll see that on the score sheet. The other thing that we're working on is that on our website, we will actually have the exact same score sheet for the kids that our referees will be using. So the kids can score themselves using the exact same form that our refs will be working. And it goes in the exact same order. So it'll kind of be fun for the kids to be able to check it right with the refs if they wanted to, and they can practice with that. That will not keep, it will not keep their score. It's not keeping track, but it will show them what their score is. But I think it'll be kind of fun that they can do it exactly in the same order that our referees will be doing that. And that is still in the works. We're still finalizing the order. We've asked our refs to give us some feedback on which direction they would like it to go. So we will let you know as soon as that is posted.
Did you mention that we want this?
Jeannie and Vicki, we've got a question about the camera. They're asking if it's okay if the coach or adult holds the cell phone camera. And we actually think that's who's going to be holding the camera, an adult. We watch kids make videos. It's sometimes hard to see. And then they're asking whether it should be mounted in a stationary position or can someone hold it?
If you can see mine right here, Jeannie.
I can't hear Vicki.
Nope. So if you double click on Vicky's image again, she's holding that in place. She's kind of up on she's about 2 steps up on a step stool. So she's holding that in place. You can see it's got a little wobble to it. So ideally you would have it stationary if you could. If you can't, again, this year is kind of a, whatever. But, oh, now Vicky's moving around. She's going to make everyone nauseous. So that's why we would prefer it be handheld. If you cannot get the entire field in there, we are going to accept something like this, where you would slowly, maybe as the robot is driving, scan the field. And then as the robot is driving. But we don't want you zoomed in trying to follow that robot around. That is going to make the referees want to hurl. So, but a nice, gentle scanning of the field back and forth, if you can't get the whole field in view with a stationary camera or cell phone. But we're pretty excited. I think that the cell phone is going to work well for those kids that maybe don't have access to a fancy camera. I don't think you need a fancy camera, really, because, well, Vicki, you're okay. Yeah, so we really don't think you need a fancy camera with being able to do that. So we've got a couple questions. So let's see. I'm guessing the quality is just as good when sharing video through Discord. Yes, can we add that to cover that next week? We don't have a call next week, but if you have questions for us.
No, with the Discord meeting.
Oh, during the Discord meeting. Yes, I'm sorry. Absolutely. The other thing Vicki did today is she downloaded the Discord app directly to her phone, and then she logged into the Discord server, and the images were just as good as what she just showed us. So I think it's going to be pretty easy. So yes, absolutely, we will cover that next week. I forgot about next week. Sorry. we're kind of living minute to minute around here. So, and yes, absolutely. We think probably a coach or an adult would hold that cell phone.
So someone pointed out, if they had 2 camera angles or 2 cameras, could they have 2 logins?
Yes, they would probably need 2 logins, one for each one. Just keeping in mind, the more windows that open on Discord, it's the ref is going to have to open then 2 windows to watch that robot move around. So then his or her screen is a little bit smaller. Whereas if you just have one camera kind of doing the overhead, then the ref can have the one screen open and only have to watch one screen. You guys know it's a little bit hard to watch 2 screens at a time. So if you do, multiple cameras, the ref may actually say, oh, I'm going to watch just this one because that's a better angle for me. Okay. Yes, if you can't make the Discord training next Thursday, we will record it. The one thing that we've learned is we're getting relatively good at recording things, and Norm has actually gotten very good at editing videos. So it does take us a day or 2, sometimes 3, to get those recordings up, but we will definitely record that training. And if you can't make it, or if you can make it, send us questions beforehand so we know how best to help you with the Discord stuff. Okay.
So, our goal is.
Vicki, your sound's not great.
Sorry. You guys have decided to coach, and you guys have taken on this challenge. So we are going to do everything we can to make sure that your team feels successful and that you guys do too. So we're going to do everything we can to help you. So, if you can't make it to Discord training, that's fine. If you have questions, like we said before, we're going to do a tutorial on it first. So it's going to be a little video. So if you can watch that before you come to the training next week. Are we going to get that done before Thursday? Yeah. Okay. Jamie's got it handled. If you could watch that, then at least we can all be a little bit more prepared. And then, I don't know. So we will support you in any way we can. That's all I'm just trying to say. So.
Hey guys, quick question. Jacqueline's iPhone came off of the meeting. So I was going to put this in the chat. Is it best to set up the camera from the north side of the table or the south? What do you think?
So we're thinking, so the north side is where the other team would have normally been in a regular year. So we were thinking from the north side. We're not saying the kids can't go over there, but in a regular year, they wouldn't be going on that side. So, because some people sent us pictures from, like from the long way, either from the east side or the west side. And, if you go from home, the problem is the kids are going to be standing there. So I'm afraid that, they're going to block that camera. So we are thinking if you do it from the north side, the refs will have a better chance of having an unobstructed view, So, and like when I did my camera over there, I was standing up on a step stool. We have not super high ceilings, but, they're not real low either. So I was kind of holding it up over my head. So if you can get most of the field in there, I think that would be great. But yes, I would say the north side.
I can't hear Jeannie.
That's because I have to unmute. I don't see any more questions. If you think of some after this, or again, we are recording this and we'll get it edited and get it up there for people. So if you need to watch something again, or if, as you're watching it again, a question comes up, or in the middle of the night, you're awoken with a crazed question, please send us emails. We're trying to help. Oh, yes, Jenna.
We got 2 questions in the chat.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Go ahead. You want me to do it?
Yes.
Okay, so Jenna, I've asked this question. I think I'm on my 3rd try. Apparently, it got sent up the chain of FLL command between first and Lego. So Jenna's question is, if because of COVID, you end up where you can't have two kids like in the same room or at the table, or maybe your team comes, kids on your team come down with COVID and it's time to run your robot and all you have is you as a coach and one child, for instance, then what? So I sent this question to FIRST, and I don't know if they can't make a decision or what, but what we decided we're going to do in Minnesota, because this is a real thing that's happening. I know some teams are getting.
Oh, your sound went out, Vicki. Okay.
Oh, am I back?
Yeah.
If it turns out that you can only have one child there with an adult, so you can only have like two people in the room, as long as the adult is not the person actually aiming the robot, pushing the little buttons and everything, if they want to be the person that is sort of helping, assisting and shuffling things on the side, then we're going to allow that. Because again, like I said before, we want your team to compete and we want those kids to have a good, experience, because I am assuming then your kids who are quarantined or whatever, they can still join via Zoom because, that's safe. Discord, that's safe. So, so they can watch the robot and everything. So yes, Jenna, if, unless FIRST comes back with some really clever, ingenious answer, we're just going to say yes. If it's you and a child in that room, and you could do that. So.
And we've got a question about someone's going to do the EV3 in Python, and that is okay to do. Correct.
Cool.
We may talk
I was looking for a little extra challenge, and so that's like a lot of extra challenge, but it has some really cool commands like run till stall. It's just built in. So there's some really neat things in there that works with Bluetooth now this year.
Yeah, there's some really neat stuff with the Python and the ability to use the different softwares. So any software is fine. They've got those listed. The main thing is you have to make sure that kids are running the robot from the controller. So actually on the robot that they are pushing go from there. They cannot run it from an iPad or a laptop, or certainly not remote control. So as long as they're pushing go from that main controller.
Okay. I mean, it makes it harder between now and then, but we feel like that'll be a good challenge for them.
That's true. Good for you for adding.
Frankly, it's easier to share the code. We had trouble last year trying to share code as we sent the robot around, because importing the drag and drop programs between computers is really hard.
Yes, it is indeed. It is.
And so this way we could just set up a GitHub account and try that, but it's not for the faint of heart, probably.
Yes, and certainly in your design and programming judges, in judging at the actual tournament, make sure the kids share why they chose to do that, and let the judges know where their successes were, and let the judges know what they failed at. I think that's a big part of judging. What have the kids learned? And even if they learn that they don't ever want to try that again, that's good knowledge too. So make sure they're sharing why they chose to do that and what they learned and what they struggled with too.
Okay, thanks.
You bet. That looks like I haven't heard any more.
We did have a question about whether, if they're filming at home, do they have to wear masks? And, we don't know if all your kids are from the same family or if your families are in pods together. We would just ask the coach, whatever the rules are for your team that you adhere to. We're not going to dictate whether you wear masks. We actually are not going to be in the same room with you, so we just want to keep our volunteers and our kids safe. So we're assuming however meeting is how you're going to be judged.
All right, and then for those of you using EV3, Chris Simonson says for the old EV3 programming software, you can use the EV3 Hub website to upload and download programs. Works like GitHub. I've not done that before. And then Richard says works like G Drive works too. Yep, each software has its own good things and bad things. Learning how to share code is a challenging thing. I was glad that we never had to do that when I coached.
All right, is there anything else? Oh, Chris is sharing her email, Christine with an E .simonson@breckschool.org if you need information for EV3 Hub. Thanks, Chris. That would be great.
Oh, and maybe I'm going to do one last plug. We are having a research workshop on Saturday. We're having 4 speakers. It's free. It's just going to be a Zoom webinar. And we've got 2 speakers from SRF Consulting, which does a lot of consulting on playgrounds and trying to get people active in park spaces. And one of the guys is very active in biking to work and has a lot of ideas on maybe possible technology improvements for commuting and exercising at the same time. The other speaker is a personal trainer, and she also has an app, so she is really good at motivation. And the last speaker has developed an app for people to be more physically active for physical therapy, and he's an electrical engineer and will be sharing his expertise. To sign up, you can just go to our website. It's under training resources, and you just need to register for the Zoom webinar. And it's on Saturday starting at 10 o'clock. And we will tape it and we'll post it to our website, but it would be nice to have as many people as possible so we can have them ask questions. And yes, they will help teams. It's really meant more to get some ideas to get teams thinking about the project. So the experts won't be sharing so much solutions as maybe some challenges that teams could maybe go off to solve. They're fun. I think you'll learn something, even adults that go to participate. So 10 o'clock, it's free, no cost. And if you need an expert, I think all of them have kind of agreed that they could be an expert for your team too, and share if you need to email them later to ask a question about your project. So, and
just to piggyback on what Cheryl was saying, so that is a Zoom webinar, and I set up the registration through Zoom. So, so if your kids are each at home, for instance, they would each need to sign up, and then they'll get their own unique link. And right now we have plenty of space. So if your team, you know, if you only want 2 of your team members or whatever, so just have them sign up individually with their email or their parents' email or whatever. So, all right.
Great. Well, thanks so much for your time tonight, everyone.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody. And if you guys have more questions along the way about, you know, the game or research project, whatever, or even how this whole process is going to work, don't hesitate to email Jeannie or I or Cheryl. Well, Jeannie or I. Cheryl will just forward them to us. So good luck this season. And, you know, I will say we are sad that we won't see you guys in person, but there's always next year. So we'll get through the season and it'll be great. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.